Today we're going to be covering work systems or task analysis. Work systems are used with children that are having a difficult time maybe completing that non-preferred, which is work, or just need higher levels of that visual structure in order to finish their work or complete their tasks that are given to them. We usually use this with homework. Right now, during distant learning, we are seeing that our students sometimes are resisting like the Nearpod lessons, so they're having a difficult time with that. This will help with those difficult times. A work system or task analysis will tell them what work they have, how much work they have, when are they finished, and then what comes next, the most important part. You have to use high motivators or meaningful motivators that will give them that incentive that, okay, I'm going to engage in this non-preferred because I know at the end I'm going to get what I really, really like. And usually reading or time on their electronics or so forth. You want to make sure that you have choices for them because interests do change a lot. So you want to make sure that you have something that gives them different options on what to pick from. Okay, I'm here. So this is essentially how the work system works. What work? Well, this child loves cars, so we're using that high motivator. We have the car system, and you have matching folders, folders 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going to match the picture to the picture. This first folder will be the green van, so they'll get their their first assignment, start and finish. They will work on the assignment, finish. If they don't need to transfer it at this level, okay? So it's okay. We're going to utilize a finish box for this work system, okay? Just any box will work, anything that you have in your house. You write finished in there, and they're going to work from left to right. So they're gonna finish one, finish box. What's next? 2, going to work, finish, finish box. 3, work, finish box. And then last but not least, Lightning McQueen. So we save the best for last. They do their work, finish, finish box. It's all done. This is how I know that I'm done, finish. What comes next? My preferred. First work, then I get to play. So at this time though, you have to make sure that you're structuring that preferred time. And especially if you're going to bring them back to a non-preferred activity. So you want to make sure that it's whatever works for you and your child. This would be 20 minutes on electronic time, and then there'll be another transition. But you want to make sure you're including a time on there, that you're structuring that time. You can use a timer, you can use your phone or their phone, anything to let them know when it's starting and when it's ending. Okay, so now we're gonna see this in action. Before we see it in action, I would like to discuss a transition cue. This cue, I'm using a pencil because usually a pencil is the one thing that they cannot find to start the work. Even though you've bought 100 pencils, or there's 100 pencils in the house, they cannot find a pencil to get to work. So I'm using the same transition cue, the same pencil every time I'm taking them from a preferred to that non-preferred, which is work. So I'm using this Smensol. It's a high motivator. I'm using the Smensol, and every time I'm going to transition the child from the preferred to the non-preferred to work, I'm using this transition cue. Super important, and you'll see how it works.
Okay, so as you can see, we have the work area set up. We have our work right here with the icons, and then the finished work, and you can see that there's nothing here because the choices are here. We have the folders set up, so how it's going to work is she's going to come and take this, put it on the folder, pull the folder here, do the work, and then the finished box is down here at the bottom. So you want to make sure you have enough space to set up the work and that there's space to move the folders. If this got in the way, it's taped down right now, but if this got in the way, we could put it over here on the wall to have more space if we needed more space. So the most important step is first you have to teach the work system. They're not gonna come over here and automatically know how to use it. So I'm going to demonstrate teaching the system. Okay, I have my transition cue. I'm going to give her processing time before we start working. Ainsley, in 2 minutes, we're gonna go work. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the 2-minute timer to go off. Alexa, stop. Okay, so this is the work that we're going to do today. You have the 4 different folders, and then you get to do something else. What would you like to do after you work? So first you're going to do 4 folders of work, and then you can read or you can color. Okay, so let's go ahead and do your first. Put it right here. Okay. You need your pencil. Okay, so pull this out. Go ahead, complete it. Put it in finish. Close your folder and put it in the finished box. So as you can see, she picked it up very quickly. But since it's the first time, I might have to provide more hand over hand, all 4. But she picked up the system fairly quickly. Okay, just for training purposes, we're not going to continue. We're just gonna pretend that you finished the work. So go ahead, put that in the finish box. We're gonna pretend that you finished it. Okay, you finished all of your work. So now you get to read a book or color. Which one would you like? Okay, you're going to color for 20 minutes. I'm gonna set the timer. Alexa, set timer for 20 minutes.
Third timer, 20 minutes, starting now.
Okay, you can go color.
Hi, now we're gonna show you a different variation of this work system. So you're going to use a 3-ring binder just like this. You have the high motivator on the outside, Minecraft for this child. my work. So they identify that that is their work. For the work system in itself, there's two different, you can do a checklist just like this. Same concept, what work, how much work, when am I finished, and what comes next. Now you can also implement something like this one where you have the time here in case that you need a little bit more structure and your child needs to be timed, or time is important for the child. Gives it a little bit more structure. So either one of these will work for this type of work system. Same thing, we're using these same folders. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we're gonna put these folders on the inside. This is also if you are limited in space and you need a little bit more space. So you can contain everything in one binder as such. When you open it up here, same concept, start, finish. This is your finish. We're not using a finished box at the end of this. Once they finish, they just put it on this side of the folder, and then they're done. It's time to move on to number 2, number 3. What you would write on here would be folder 1, folder 2, whatever folder they have. Again, you don't have to use all 4. You can only implement 2, 3, or 4, whatever your child can handle. When you're ready to transition, remember you're using the transition cue. That doesn't change. You still need a transition cue because you're getting them off a preferred activity to a non-preferred, which is this 4-letter word, W-O-R-K, work. Okay, so you need your transition cue. Now, the way this works is they're following their checklist, folder 1, folder 2, folder 3, folder 4. Here's folder 1. We're doing distant learning at this time, so a lot of the lessons are not hard copies. They are actually Nearpod lessons to whatever distant learning the teachers are using. So this is the way you would set that up. It would be Science Nearpod lesson 1. And then they go on their computer and they do it. Reading Nearpod lesson 1, you can divide the subjects. Math, lesson 1 and 2, and social studies Nearpod lesson 1. So you can divide the subjects. You can manipulate this any way that's more successful for your child. What you put in here, that's up to you how much they can handle. If they're having a very hard time completing one lesson, you can break up the lesson into different parts and put lesson 1 divided into 4 different parts. That's the way that would work, okay? So when they're finished, this is what it looks like. That's folder check 1, 2, 3, and 4. How much work did they have? 4. What work? Folder 1, 2, 3, and 4. They've checked it off. That's how they know that they're finished. And then what comes next? But remember, you would still need to structure the time that they have on that preferred activity in case you're going to transition them back into a non-preferred. So you want to make sure you're including a time limit down here to clearly give that expectation of the beginning and the ending of that preferred activity. So we're gonna see what this looks like, okay?
Okay, I have my transition cue, so I'm going to give her processing time. I'm going to tell her 2 minutes, and then we'll transition to work after 2 minutes. Ainsley, in 2 minutes, we're gonna go work.
Okay.
Okay, we're just waiting for the timer to go off. Alexa, stop. Let's go work. Okay, so this is the work that you have to do. We have folder 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all your folders are in your binder. So go ahead and open up the folder 1. Just open the folder, you don't have to take it out. Okay, so folder 1 is science. And there's your Nearpod. You have one lesson. So go ahead and log into the code. Okay, so while she's logging into the code, one thing that you want to do, especially for this distance learning, is if they're doing more than one lesson, write it down. So that way before they even start, they know how many lessons they have to do. Also, I put it in this binder, so as you can see, her desk is organized and there's a space just for this binder right here. So that way she has everything she needs. Okay, you're finished? So go ahead, get your binder. Open up to which folder you were in. I'm gonna put it on the finish side. Okay. Go ahead, check off folder 1. Okay, what's next? Folder 2. So I'm guiding her a lot through this, but that's because I'm teaching the system. Okay, as you can see, there's more lessons on this Nearpod. The science only had 1, and so for reading, you're gonna do the 3 lessons before you're finished. Okay, you've done all 4 folders. You're finished, so now you chose phone. So you're going to do your phone for 30 minutes. When the timer goes off in 30 minutes, I will come get you to do your next task. Alexa, set timer for 30 minutes. So I was doing this with my child, and my child became overwhelmed with all of the work inside. So I'm going to backtrack, and I'm just going to take 1 assignment and start there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chunk this assignment by cutting it up. So as you can see, there's 10 questions. To us, it might not look overwhelming, but to a child that might struggle with work like this or this subject, it's very overwhelming to do 10 questions in one sitting. So what I'm going to show you is a way to chunk it, so that way you're breaking it up into smaller parts. Okay, so first it has a word bank. You definitely want to cut that off because they're going to need that for all of the assignments. So we want to put this separate. Okay, so we have questions 1 through 10, and I'm going to divide it up into 3 folders. So I'm going to cut 2 questions just to get them started. And then I'm going to give them 4 questions. And then the 3rd folder will be the last 4. Okay, so here I have the 4 folders, but I'm going to take this one off because I'm only going to use 3. So in folder 1, I will put this, and you might need to paper clip it to the side so it stays. Folder 2, put the next one. And folder 3, put the rest of the questions, okay? Now that I have all of my work organized into my folders, we take a look at the work system, and this allows our child to see what work they have to do, how much work, when are they finished, and what they can do when they're finished. Okay, so here we go. We've got our work system, we've got our word bank. We open up folder 1. Your child completes the work, puts it in the finished. We mark that off. Okay, now they can go take a 2-minute break. Break time's over. Folder 2, pull out the work. Use their word bank. They're finished. Check that off. 2-minute break. Break time's finished. I'm transitioning them back. folder 3, word bank, complete their work. They put it in the finish side. And of course, at the beginning, you have to teach them the system, but once they get the system and you use all of their work like this, they'll be able to do it independently, and all you're doing is transitioning them between the break and their work. So they've completed folder 3. So now they can have iPad for 30 minutes. And I know this seems like a lot of work, but it's the preparing process that will help you. It was just a simple prepare, cut it up, cut the work into pieces, put it in here, and not having those behaviors do work, that's what makes all of this worth it. And I'm going to chunk the assignment and put breaks within this one assignment. And this is how I'm going to do it. I have a file folder here, and what I did is I cut it in half into 2 different chunks. You simply put the paper inside. You can paper clip it to stabilize the paper if you would like, but what this folder is going to do is the first 4, actually I could scoot it up so it's 5 and 5. Okay, so as you can see, tab 2 is 6 through 10, and then tab number 1 is 1 through 5. So now this becomes the work. So first we're going to do flap 1, and then they're going to get a 5-minute break. Then we're going to do flap 2, which is 6 through 10, and then they're finished and they can have the iPad for 30 minutes. So you can see the break in here is 5 minutes, whereas when you're finished with the whole work, it's 30 minutes. You don't want to give a big amount of time during the work because you want them to complete this task before they get a bigger break. Okay, so let's look at another one. So that was, let's look at a math. Okay, for the math one, I have 3 flaps. And this is multiplication, because that's always a challenge for our students. And you know what? I'm actually going to cut this top off here. Okay. And I'm going to do these 4 for under flap 1. I'm going to do this 8 for flap 2, and then 4 for flap 3. Okay, so again, here's the work. We're gonna do flap 1. Okay, and then a 3-minute break. And flap 2. So now we're doing the 8 and a 3-minute break. And then flap 3, there's the 4. And then now you're finished with the whole assignment. So now you can take a 30-minute break. Now you can see the difference between these because there was more work to be done, or this is maybe a more challenging assignment because it's multiplication and my child doesn't like math. I provided the 2 breaks, 2 shorter breaks on the assignment before they finished. Okay, so you can always do that. The next example I have for chunking is without a folder. So we have a social studies assignment here where you have to label the capitals. So I could do the same thing with my work. Let me erase this one. As you can see, they're highlighted. So I want my child to do the purple first, and then I'm gonna give them a break. And I'm gonna do a 2-minute break. And then I want them to do the pink, and then a break, 2 minutes, and then the numbers 5, 4, 7. I should have highlighted those, but I just left them blank. So now you can see a different way. Do all the purple ones first, a break, do the pink ones, a break, and then do 5, 4, and 7, and you're finished with the whole assignment, and you can now have a 30-minute break. That is chunking one assignment into different parts, so that way it decreases that frustration, and maybe you might see a decrease in the behavior as well.